When it comes to building muscle after 60, most people are told one thing over and over again: eat more protein. But here's the truth, it's not about how much protein you eat. It's about how much your body can actually use. See, if your digestion isn't working well, if your stomach acid is low, or if you're missing certain cofactors like zinc or vitamin B6, you can eat all the protein in the world and still struggle to build muscle. The key isn't just protein quantity, it's nutrient density. This one concept can completely transform the way your body uses food to rebuild strength, improve energy, and slow the effects of aging. Now, here's what most people don't realize. As you age, your ability to digest and absorb nutrients declines, especially proteins and minerals. The stomach stops producing enough hydrochloric acid, which means you don't break down protein efficiently into amino acids. Without that breakdown, your muscles are starving at the cellular level even though you're eating right. You might have enough calories, but your body doesn't have the building blocks. And this is where nutrient-dense foods come in. Foods that give you not just protein, but the full package of vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and fatty acids needed to use that protein effectively. Think of your body like a construction site. Protein is the raw material, the bricks. But to build a strong house, you need more than bricks. You need workers, tools, and energy. Those workers and tools are your micronutrients, your zinc, magnesium, B vitamins, and potassium. Without them, the bricks just sit there unused. Your body can't synthesize muscle tissue, can't activate enzymes, and can't repair damage properly. So instead of focusing on high-protein foods that are nutrient-poor, you need to focus on foods that are rich in both protein and micronutrients. One of the best examples of this is beef liver. It's one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. Just a few ounces provide nearly every vitamin and mineral your muscles need to grow, including B12 for red blood cell production, iron for oxygen transport, CoQ10 for energy, and vitamin A for cellular repair. And yet, it costs less than a protein shake. That's the power of nutrient density, low cost, high value, and maximal bioavailability. When you give your body these kinds of foods, it knows exactly what to do with them. Another great example is sardines. Most people overlook them because they come in a can and look simple, but they're loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, calcium, vitamin D, and protein, all critical for muscle maintenance and anti-inflammatory support. Omega-3s in particular help keep your muscle cells sensitive to anabolic signals, meaning your body responds better to the amino acids you eat. So even if you eat less protein, you can build more muscle simply because your body's efficiency improves. That's nutrient leverage. Greek yogurt is another powerhouse, but not the sugary kind. The full-fat, plain version provides leucine, calcium, and probiotics. Leucine is the trigger for muscle protein synthesis, and the probiotics enhance nutrient absorption by improving gut health. When your gut is healthy, you extract more nutrients from the same food. That's why people with healthy microbiomes have more energy, better digestion, and faster recovery. They're not just eating, they're absorbing. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Many older adults are deficient in zinc and magnesium, two minerals absolutely essential for protein metabolism and muscle function. Zinc helps activate the enzymes that convert amino acids into muscle tissue. Magnesium allows your muscles to contract and relax properly. Without enough magnesium, your muscles can't perform, and recovery slows down dramatically. Pumpkin seeds, spinach, and sea salt are simple, affordable ways to restore these minerals and drastically improve muscle response. I often tell my patients that muscle growth isn't just about what you put in. It's about what your cells can do with what you give them. And if your cells are missing the key nutrients they need to process protein, you're essentially running a factory with no power supply. This is why older adults can eat 100 grams of protein a day and still lose muscle. Their nutrient systems are underpowered, but when you start eating nutrient-dense foods, liver, sardines, eggs, sea vegetables, and cruciferous greens, the system reboots. Suddenly, the body begins to repair itself more efficiently. You're no longer just feeding it, you're upgrading it. Let's talk about potassium for a second. Potassium is one of the most overlooked minerals in muscle health. It helps transport amino acids into the muscle cells and supports electrical activity in the muscles. Most people are severely deficient in potassium because they're not eating enough vegetables. If you're consuming a lot of protein but not getting enough potassium, the process stalls. You can't absorb and utilize that protein properly. Adding foods like avocado, spinach, or even lentils can make a huge difference in how your body uses the protein you eat. Another key element is vitamin B6. This vitamin is needed for the transamination process, the step that converts amino acids into usable muscle-building components. If you're deficient in B6, your body can't efficiently use protein no matter how much you eat. Foods like tuna, beef, and sunflower seeds are excellent natural sources of B6. Combine them with a clean, low-carb diet, and you've set the perfect foundation for muscle repair and growth. One thing I want you to remember is this: you don't need to eat large quantities of food to get results. In fact, overeating can do the opposite by raising insulin, leading to inflammation and fat storage. Instead, focus on the quality of the food. A small portion of liver, sardines, or eggs with leafy greens can deliver more usable nutrition than a giant plate of empty calories. And when your insulin is low, growth hormone goes up, which further promotes muscle growth and fat burning. It's all connected. So if you've been struggling with muscle loss, fatigue, or slow recovery, don't rush to buy more protein powder. Instead, start improving your nutrient density. Look for foods that are rich in both macronutrients and micronutrients. Eat less often, but eat smarter. When your meals are built on nutrient-dense foundations, your body starts to change. You'll notice your energy coming back, your strength increasing, and even your metabolism improving. And here's the real hook: nutrient density doesn't just help your muscles. It helps your brain, your heart, your liver, and your immune system. It's the foundation of anti-aging. When your cells have everything they need, they repair faster, function better, and resist damage longer. The result: you not only build muscle, you build resilience. So yes, protein matters, but nutrient density is the real secret weapon. It's what turns an ordinary meal into muscle fuel. And once you make that shift, you'll never look at food the same way again. Most people believe that losing muscle after 60 is just a natural part of aging, something inevitable that happens no matter what you do. But that's not entirely true. The real reason many people lose strength, energy, and muscle tone has more to do with hormones and nutrition than with age itself. Your body is incredibly adaptive, even in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. The problem is that the signals your body once relied on to build and maintain muscle become weaker, mostly because of insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, and a gradual decline in growth hormones. But here's the good news. You can actually reverse a lot of this by changing how and what you eat. This is where understanding the hormone-nutrition connection becomes the game changer. As we age, our bodies tend to produce less growth hormone and testosterone, both of which are essential for maintaining muscle. Growth hormone is like the body's repair signal. It tells your tissues to rebuild, regenerate, and recover. Testosterone helps preserve lean muscle mass and directs the body to burn fat instead of muscle for energy. When these hormones drop, muscle synthesis slows down, and you begin to lose not just strength but also your metabolic power. And when your metabolism slows, you burn fewer calories and accumulate more fat, especially around the midsection. That excess fat, in turn, releases inflammatory molecules that further disrupt hormone balance, creating a vicious cycle. Now, here's the twist: most people miss insulin. The hormone that regulates blood sugar also plays a huge role in whether your body builds or breaks down muscle. When insulin is constantly elevated from eating too often or consuming too many refined carbs, your cells become resistant to it. That means your muscles stop receiving nutrients properly. Think of insulin like a key. It unlocks the door to the cell so amino acids and glucose can enter and fuel growth. When the door stops responding to the key, nutrients can't get in. Instead of building muscle, your body stores more fat. That's insulin resistance. And it's one of the biggest reasons older adults lose muscle, even when they're eating enough protein. What's fascinating is that insulin resistance doesn't just affect your muscles. It impacts every cell in your body. It makes you tired after meals, slows down recovery, and leaves you craving more sugar or carbs because your cells are essentially starving for energy. This is why you see so many people in their 60s feeling constantly drained despite eating 3 meals and snacks every day. Their cells simply can't access fuel efficiently. The fix isn't eating more. It's teaching your body to use what it already has. And the fastest way to do that is by lowering insulin through nutrition and timing. Intermittent fasting is one of the most powerful tools for this. When you stop eating for long enough, your insulin levels drop, allowing your body to tap into stored fat for energy. As insulin comes down, growth hormone rises naturally. That's the body's way of saying, okay, we're in repair mode now. This is when you start burning fat and rebuilding muscle at the same time, something most people think is impossible after 60. Fasting isn't about deprivation. It's about recovery. It gives your cells a break from constant digestion so they can focus on repair and regeneration. But nutrition plays just as big a role. To correct hormonal imbalances, you have to stabilize blood sugar, and that starts with eliminating the biggest offenders: refined grains, sugars, and frequent snacking. Each time you eat, you trigger insulin. Most people eat 5 or 6 times a day, which means their insulin never has a chance to come down. The body stays in storage mode all day long. By simply reducing meal frequency to 2 or 3 times a day and cutting out refined carbs, you let insulin drop, and suddenly your hormones start working again. This is when you notice more steady energy, clearer thinking, and a return of muscle tone. What most people don't realize is that fat itself isn't the problem. It's what kind of fat you're eating. Healthy fats like olive oil, avocados, sardines, and grass-fed butter help lower inflammation and improve hormone function. These fats actually enhance the communication between cells, making insulin more effective and stabilizing blood sugar. On the other hand, industrial seed oils like canola, soybean, and corn oil do the exact opposite. They create oxidative stress and block cellular receptors. This prevents your hormones from signaling properly. So the key isn't avoiding fat, it's avoiding the wrong fats. Protein also interacts directly with hormones. When you consume protein along with healthy fats and vegetables, it slows down digestion, which helps keep insulin stable. But if you pair protein with starchy carbs, you get an insulin spike that cancels out many of the muscle-building benefits. That's why eating a steak with vegetables and avocado is far more effective than eating the same steak with a baked potato or bread. It's not just what you eat, it's how you combine it. Now let's talk about stress. Chronic stress raises cortisol, the hormone that breaks down muscle and stores fat. If your cortisol levels are constantly elevated, your body will break down muscle tissue to provide energy. This is one reason why people under stress can lose muscle even if they're eating perfectly. Reducing stress through quality sleep, sunlight, and gentle activity like walking or yoga can help rebalance cortisol. And when cortisol comes down, testosterone and growth hormone can rise again. One thing I often tell people is this: muscle loss after 60 is not your body's way of giving up. It's your body's way of asking for balance. When your nutrition and hormones are aligned, your body will respond quickly no matter your age. I've seen people in their 70s who start strength training with the right nutrition plan and notice visible muscle growth in just a few weeks. That's because once insulin sensitivity improves and growth hormone kicks in, the body becomes anabolic again. It starts building rather than breaking down. Let's not forget about sleep. Growth hormone is released in deep sleep, primarily during the early part of the night. If you're not sleeping well, your growth hormone levels drop and your body stays in a catabolic state, breaking down muscle for energy. So, supporting sleep with magnesium, keeping the room cool and dark, and avoiding late night eating all play into restoring your hormonal rhythm. A proper night's rest can do more for muscle repair than any supplement. Another interesting piece of the puzzle is inflammation. Inflammation from poor diet, high insulin, or oxidative stress makes your muscle cells resistant to anabolic signals. You can reduce this inflammation by eating anti-inflammatory foods like fatty fish, leafy greens, turmeric, and cruciferous vegetables. The lower your inflammation, the better your hormones work. So, the next time you think your muscle loss is because of aging, remember that it's not time that's your enemy, it's imbalance. When you get your hormones back in sync through proper nutrition, fasting, and stress management, your body knows exactly what to do. You'll notice stronger muscles, steadier energy, and even a sharper mind. The aging process slows down because your cells are finally getting the correct signals again. This is the hidden truth. You're not too old to build muscle. Your hormones are simply waiting for you to create the right environment. Once insulin drops, growth hormone rises, testosterone normalizes, and inflammation decreases, your body can rebuild at any age. It's not about forcing growth. It's about removing the interference that's been blocking it. And that's something you can start doing right now with your next meal and your next fast. Your body will thank you, not just with stronger muscles, but with a stronger, more youthful version of you. When people talk about building muscle after 60, the conversation almost always comes back to protein. Everyone says, eat more protein, get your amino acids, and you'll rebuild your strength. But there's one crucial detail most people overlook: not all amino acids are created equal. There's one in particular, leucine, that acts like the ignition key for muscle growth. Without it, the engine never starts. You could eat all the protein you want, but unless leucine triggers that anabolic switch inside your muscle cells, growth simply won't happen. And here's the surprising part. Your body's sensitivity to leucine declines as you age, which is why older adults often struggle to maintain muscle even when their diet seems perfect. But when you pair leucine-rich foods with omega-3 fatty acids, something remarkable happens. Your muscles suddenly become more responsive, more efficient, and more capable of using protein to rebuild and repair. Now, leucine is one of the 3 branched chain amino acids, the others being isoleucine and valine. But leucine stands out because it directly activates a powerful growth pathway called mTOR, mechanistic target of rapamycin. This pathway is what tells your body it's time to build. When leucine levels rise in your bloodstream, mTOR kicks in and starts the process of muscle protein synthesis. Think of mTOR as the construction manager of your muscle fibers. It signals your cells to start assembling new tissue, repair damaged fibers, and strengthen existing ones. Without that signal, you can eat protein all day long and never truly build new muscle. The fascinating part is that your body needs only a specific threshold of leucine to activate mTOR effectively, around 3 grams per meal for most older adults. Below that, your body may not even notice it. That's one reason small amounts of protein spread across too many meals aren't effective for muscle building, especially after 60. Your goal is to hit that leucine threshold in each main meal, which you can easily do by choosing high leucine foods like cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, beef, eggs, chicken thighs, and fish such as tuna or salmon. These are affordable, accessible sources that deliver both the amino acids and the supporting nutrients your body can actually use. Here's where omega-3 fatty acids come into play. And this is where most people miss the connection. As we age, our cell membranes become less fluid, less sensitive to hormonal and nutritional signals. Inflammation and insulin resistance further blunt these signals, meaning even if leucine is present, the message doesn't get through as strongly. Omega-3s, particularly EPA and DHA found in fatty fish like sardines, salmon, and mackerel, restore that sensitivity. They make the cell membrane more responsive, allowing leucine to do its job far more effectively. It's almost like cleaning the static off a radio signal so the message comes through loud and clear. This partnership between leucine and omega-3s is incredibly powerful because it not only stimulates muscle growth but also reduces inflammation. One of the main barriers to recovery after exercise or daily activity. Inflammation slows protein synthesis and accelerates muscle breakdown. Omega-3s counteract this by lowering cytokines and improving blood flow to the muscles. That means better nutrient delivery, faster repair, and stronger fibers. So while most people think of omega-3s as heart-healthy fats, in reality they're also muscle-building fats, especially for those over 60. Now imagine this: you're 65, eating a typical Western diet, maybe some chicken breast, bread, and fruit. On paper, it looks healthy, but you're missing the synergy. There's protein, but not enough leucine to trigger MTR. There's energy, but little omega-3 to support absorption and recovery. Your muscles never get the full anabolic message. But when you start your day with something like full, fat Greek yogurt topped with chia seeds and a handful of walnuts, or you have a meal of sardines and avocado, suddenly the equation changes. You're giving your body the right signal and the right environment to build muscle again, even at an age when most people think it's impossible. The problem with relying solely on protein powders or processed shakes is that many of them lack the natural cofactors that make leucine effective. Real food provides not just amino acids but also vitamins, minerals, and fatty acids that work together to drive muscle metabolism. For instance, vitamin D from fatty fish enhances muscle contraction and balance, magnesium supports energy production inside the cell, and zinc helps repair DNA. This is why nutrient-dense whole foods always outperform isolated protein supplements in the long run. They deliver the entire biochemical orchestra your body needs, not just one instrument playing alone. Another reason leucine is so powerful is its effect on insulin. Unlike carbohydrates that spike insulin and lead to fat storage, leucine can increase insulin modestly in a way that supports nutrient delivery to muscle cells without raising blood sugar. It's a clean anabolic effect. When combined with omega-3s, which improve insulin sensitivity, the two create a hormonal environment that's perfect for rebuilding muscle and burning fat at the same time. This is especially important for people over 60 who often struggle with both insulin resistance and sarcopenia. Now, let's address digestion. Older adults often experience lower stomach acid and reduced enzyme production, which can make it harder to break down protein. That's why it's important to choose protein sources that are easier to digest, but still high in leucine. Cottage cheese and Greek yogurt are excellent because the proteins are pre-digested through fermentation. Fish is another great option because its protein structure breaks down more easily than red meat. And if digestion is still an issue, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar before meals can help increase stomach acid and improve absorption. What's truly remarkable is that studies have shown omega-3 supplementation can actually increase the rate of muscle protein synthesis in older adults even without changing exercise levels. That means omega-3s make your muscles more efficient. They get more benefit from the same amount of protein and activity. Add resistance training or even simple body weight exercises and the results multiply. The combination of leucine, rich protein, omega-3 fats, and physical movement creates a perfect storm for muscle regeneration. Most people think they need to eat massive amounts of protein or spend hours in the gym to see results. In reality, it's about precision, not quantity. You need the right nutrients in the right balance. A modest meal of salmon with steamed vegetables and olive oil can do far more for muscle growth than a huge plate of processed protein foods. The body thrives on balance and bioavailability. One of the most encouraging things about this approach is that it's affordable and sustainable. Sardines, canned salmon, cottage cheese, and Greek yogurt are some of the cheapest high leucine foods available. You don't have to rely on expensive supplements or powders. These foods not only help you build muscle, but also improve brain function, heart health, and joint flexibility. When your omega-3 levels rise, you'll often notice better mood, less stiffness, and sharper focus, all signs that your cells are functioning more efficiently. So, the next time you plan your meals, think of leucine and omega-3s as partners. One triggers the growth, the other ensures the message is received and acted on. This synergy allows you to build lean muscle even if you're past 60 with less effort and more consistency. The body never loses its ability to adapt, it just needs the right tools. By eating smarter, not necessarily more, you can reignite your body's natural ability to grow, repair, and stay strong well into your later years. Most people think muscle building is just about protein, strength training, and recovery, but what if I told you there's a deeper layer to this? Something most people never even think about. Inside every muscle cell in your body, there's a little engine called the mitochondrion. These tiny structures are what produce your energy, your vitality, and your endurance. They're the real powerhouses behind every muscle contraction and every bit of strength you have. And here's the hook: when your mitochondria start to weaken, your muscles follow. It's not age that takes your strength away, it's mitochondrial decline. If you can repair and strengthen your mitochondria, you can literally slow down aging, rebuild muscle faster, and restore the kind of energy you thought you'd lost for good. Think of mitochondria as your internal battery packs. They generate the energy currency your body uses, called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Every time you move, lift something, or even breathe, mitochondria are at work producing the fuel for that action. But as you get older, several things start to chip away at mitochondrial health. Poor diet, oxidative stress, toxins, lack of movement, and especially insulin resistance. When mitochondria are damaged, your muscles don't get enough energy to repair and grow, no matter how much protein you eat. You start feeling fatigued, your endurance drops, and even simple tasks feel harder. The body begins to prioritize survival over growth, and that's when muscle loss accelerates. Now, the fascinating thing about mitochondria is that they're not static. They can grow, multiply, and repair themselves when given the right conditions. You can train your mitochondria just like you train your muscles. And the foods you eat have a direct impact on how these little power plants perform. Nutrient-dense foods rich in B vitamins, CoQ10, carnitine, and antioxidants can wake up sluggish mitochondria and give your muscles new life. That's why I always emphasize foods like beef liver, wild salmon, and leafy greens. These aren't just healthy foods, they're mitochondrial medicine. Beef liver, for instance, is packed with CoQ10, one of the key nutrients your mitochondria need to generate energy efficiently. Without enough CoQ10, your energy production stalls. Your body feels tired even when you're well rested, and your muscles can't recover properly after exercise. CoQ10 acts like a spark plug in your cells. It helps shuttle electrons through the energy cycle that creates ATP. When you boost CoQ10 levels naturally through food, it's like turning on a power generator inside your muscles. That's when you notice your stamina increasing, your recovery improving, and even your mental focus sharpening. Salmon and other fatty fish provide not only omega-3s but also essential amino acids and antioxidants that protect your mitochondria from oxidative stress. Every time your mitochondria make energy, they also produce byproducts called free radicals. When these build up faster than your body can neutralize them, they start damaging the very mitochondria that made them. Omega-3s and antioxidants work like a cleanup crew, keeping that process balanced. The cleaner your energy production, the more efficient your muscles become. That's one reason people who eat more fatty fish tend to have better endurance and lower levels of fatigue as they age. Magnesium is another crucial player in this story. Your mitochondria can't make ATP without magnesium. It's part of nearly every enzymatic reaction involved in energy metabolism. Yet, most people are deficient in it. Without enough magnesium, your mitochondria slow down, your muscles cramp, and recovery becomes difficult. Foods like pumpkin seeds, spinach, and avocado are simple, affordable ways to restore magnesium and boost your cellular energy. When you correct a deficiency like that, it's like replacing the batteries in a flashlight. Everything suddenly works again. One of the most powerful but overlooked ways to improve mitochondrial health is through intermittent fasting. When you fast, your body enters a state called autophagy, where it cleans out damaged cells and weak mitochondria, replacing them with new, stronger ones. This process keeps your cells young and efficient. During fasting, your body also shifts from burning sugar to burning fat for fuel. Fat metabolism produces cleaner energy with fewer free radicals, which reduces mitochondrial stress. This is one of the reasons why fasting not only helps with fat loss, but also with energy, focus, and muscle preservation. You're literally upgrading your body's power supply each time you fast. Exercise plays another key role here. Not just resistance training, but also brief, intense bursts of effort known as high-intensity interval training. When you challenge your muscles, your body responds by producing more mitochondria to meet the increased energy demand. This process is called mitochondrial biogenesis. The more mitochondria you have, the greater your endurance and the faster your recovery. Even something as simple as brisk walking or climbing stairs can stimulate this process if done consistently. It's not about spending hours in the gym, it's about challenging your body just enough to remind it that it needs to stay strong. Now, let's talk about something most people overlook: oxygen. Your mitochondria can't make energy without it. If your cardiovascular health isn't good, or if you're shallow breathing most of the day, your mitochondria won't get the oxygen they need to perform. Deep breathing exercises, time outdoors, and improving posture can make a big difference in how efficiently your body uses oxygen. It's a small change with a big payoff in energy levels. Another fascinating link to mitochondrial function is your thyroid. The thyroid gland controls metabolic rate, and its hormones directly stimulate mitochondrial activity. When thyroid function drops, energy production plummets. This is why people with sluggish thyroids often feel tired, cold, and weak. Supporting the thyroid with nutrients like selenium, iodine, and zinc, found in foods like seafood, eggs, and sea vegetables, indirectly boosts mitochondrial health and muscle function. Everything in the body is connected, and when you strengthen one system, you strengthen them all. One of the biggest enemies of your mitochondria is sugar. Excess sugar floods your cells with glucose, creating oxidative stress and inflammation. Over time, this damages the mitochondria and reduces their ability to make energy. That's why cutting sugar isn't just about weight loss. It's about preserving the very engines that keep you alive and strong. When you shift to a diet higher in healthy fats and low in refined carbohydrates, you're giving your mitochondria the clean fuel they were designed to use. Fat produces more ATP per molecule than glucose, and it does it with less oxidative damage. If you've ever wondered why some people in their 70s seem full of life, energy, and muscle tone while others struggle to get out of bed, the answer often lies in mitochondrial function. The ones who stay active, eat nutrient-dense foods, and avoid refined carbs and processed oils are protecting their mitochondria daily. Their cells remain efficient, their muscles stay strong, and their minds stay sharp. Your goal shouldn't just be to eat for muscles. It should be to eat for mitochondria. Because when you fix the energy problem, everything else starts to fix itself. Your hormones balance better, your recovery improves, your metabolism speeds up, and your muscle building potential skyrockets. The beauty of this is that it doesn't require fancy supplements or complex routines. It's about real food, strategic fasting, smart movement, and clean living. So when you think about muscle health, remember that strength begins at the cellular level. The real transformation doesn't start in the gym, it starts inside your mitochondria. Once you begin nourishing and training them properly, you'll feel younger, stronger, and more alive than you have in years. The spark that drives your energy and vitality is already within you. It just needs to be recharged. And when that happens, age becomes just a number, not a limitation. Timing can completely transform the way your body builds and maintains muscle, especially after the age of 60. Most people focus so much on what to eat that they forget the equally powerful factor: when to eat. You could be eating the healthiest foods in the world, but if you're eating them at the wrong time, your body may not be using those nutrients efficiently. Here's something to think about: your body's hormonal rhythm changes as you age, and if you learn how to eat according to that rhythm, you can unlock muscle growth and energy levels you didn't think were possible anymore. Think of it like catching a wave. When you align your eating with your body's natural hormonal tide, everything flows more smoothly, and you get far better results with less effort. After 60, your muscle-building hormones like growth hormone, testosterone, and IGF-1 start to decline, but the timing of your meals can actually help restore their function. One of the biggest secrets to maintaining muscle mass later in life is strategic fasting combined with nutrient timing. The human body is not designed to eat all day long. When you space your meals properly, you allow insulin levels to drop, which in turn triggers growth hormone. Growth hormone is your body's natural repair signal. It tells your muscles to rebuild and recover. But here's the hook: if you're eating every few hours, you're constantly keeping insulin elevated, and that shuts down growth hormone production. In other words, snacking might be stealing your muscle gains without you even realizing it. The sweet spot for most people over 60 is a combination of intermittent fasting and time-restricted feeding. A simple version might be eating within an 8-hour window, say from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., and fasting the rest of the time. During the fasting period, your body switches from burning sugar to burning fat, which not only helps reduce inflammation, but also activates cellular repair processes. When you finally eat, your muscles are primed to absorb nutrients more efficiently. Think of it as charging up a dry sponge. When it's ready, it soaks up everything. That's what your muscles do after fasting. They're far more receptive to protein and amino acids. But the timing around exercise is even more critical. Many people assume they need to eat right before working out, but for those over 60, exercising in a fasted state can be incredibly beneficial. When you train while fasting, your body increases adrenaline and growth hormone levels. You become more efficient at mobilizing fat and preserving lean muscle tissue. Then, when you eat after your workout, your insulin sensitivity is at its peak, meaning your muscles will pull in more amino acids and glycogen to repair and grow. It's like your body is saying, "I'm ready. Give me the building blocks now." Now, let's talk about the post-meal timing, one of the most overlooked but powerful windows for muscle recovery. The first hour after exercise is sometimes called the anabolic window. During this period, your muscles are like sponges waiting to absorb nutrients. A meal that includes a complete protein source, some healthy fats, and a moderate amount of complex carbohydrates can make a huge difference. For example, wild salmon with avocado and steamed vegetables is a perfect post-workout meal. It gives your body high-quality protein, omega-3 fats to fight inflammation, and fiber-rich carbs to replenish glycogen without spiking insulin too high. Most people don't realize that what they eat before bed also affects their muscle building potential. While sleeping, your body goes into deep recovery mode. Growth hormone peaks during sleep, and this is when most of your repair and rebuilding takes place. If you go to bed with high insulin levels, say after a big carb, heavy dinner, you actually suppress growth hormone release. That's why it's better to have a lighter, protein-rich meal a few hours before bed. Something like cottage cheese or a handful of walnuts can provide slow, digesting protein and healthy fats that support overnight recovery without interrupting hormone balance. Another timing trick that's incredibly effective is cycling your protein intake around your most active days. If you do resistance training 3 times a week, plan to have slightly more protein on those days and slightly less on rest days. This keeps your metabolism flexible and prevents your body from adapting to a constant level of protein intake. The variation signals your body to stay responsive, almost like keeping it on its toes. It's the same reason intermittent fasting works so well. Your body thrives on rhythm and contrast, not monotony. Now, let's talk about the morning, the time of day when your cortisol naturally rises. Cortisol isn't the enemy many people think it is. In moderate amounts, it helps you wake up and mobilize energy. But if you spike it even higher by eating sugary breakfast foods, you'll crash later in the day and lose the steady energy you need for muscle recovery. Instead, delaying breakfast for a few hours and breaking your fast with nutrient-dense protein-rich foods helps stabilize cortisol and improve focus. For example, starting your day with eggs, spinach, and avocado instead of cereal and toast keeps your energy steady and gives your muscles a steady flow of nutrients. Timing your hydration also matters. Drinking water too close to meals can sometimes dilute digestive enzymes and make it harder to absorb nutrients efficiently. It's better to drink water 30 minutes before eating and then wait another 30 minutes after meals before drinking again. This small adjustment can enhance digestion, nutrient absorption, and even reduce bloating. Better digestion means more amino acids and minerals reach your muscles, where they can actually do their job. And then there's sleep timing, perhaps the most underestimated factor in muscle health. If you're going to bed past midnight, you're missing the most restorative window of growth hormone release, which typically happens between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. The earlier you can get into deep sleep, the better your recovery and muscle protein synthesis. Your body follows a circadian rhythm, a natural 24-hour clock. And when you align your eating and sleeping patterns with that rhythm, your hormones, energy, and muscle function all improve dramatically. Let's not forget that certain nutrients work better when consumed at specific times. For example, magnesium is best taken in the evening because it supports relaxation and deep sleep. Omega-3 fats are better absorbed when eaten with a meal that contains fat, usually later in the day. Vitamin D and B vitamins, on the other hand, should be taken earlier in the day to support energy production and metabolic function. When you understand this rhythm, you turn your diet into a performance strategy rather than just a list of foods. Most people think age is what slows them down, but it's often just a loss of timing. Eating late, sleeping irregularly, and snacking all day long. When you start eating in alignment with your biology, everything changes. Your energy becomes stable, your recovery accelerates, and your body starts using food the way it was meant to, as fuel for strength, not storage for fat. Imagine waking up without stiffness, powering through your day without mid-afternoon crashes, and actually feeling your muscles getting stronger week by week. That's what proper timing does. It brings back rhythm to your metabolism. You're no longer fighting your body, you're working with it. Every meal becomes purposeful, every fast becomes healing, and every night of sleep becomes an opportunity for regeneration. The body doesn't stop working after 60, it just needs a smarter schedule. And when you learn how to feed and rest it at the right times, it rewards you with strength, vitality, and a level of energy that can surprise even you. One of the most silent, overlooked barriers to building muscle after 60 is inflammation. Most people think muscle loss is just about aging, hormones, or lack of exercise. But in truth, chronic low-grade inflammation is often the real culprit stealing your strength. Here's the hook: it's not that your body can't build muscle anymore. It's that inflammation is quietly breaking it down faster than you can rebuild it. Imagine trying to build a house while a fire burns underneath the foundation. No matter how many bricks you lay, that fire keeps undoing your progress. That's what inflammation does inside your body. It slowly eats away at your muscle tissue, weakens recovery, and drains your energy. But the powerful part is this: you can extinguish that fire naturally, and when you do, your body starts healing, growing, and rebuilding faster than you thought possible. When inflammation becomes chronic, it stops being a healing process and becomes destructive. Your immune system stays on high alert, releasing cytokines, chemical messengers that trigger damage and prevent muscle repair. You may not feel it as pain or fever. Instead, you notice it as stiffness, fatigue, or soreness that lingers longer than it should. Over time, this low-level inflammation interferes with protein synthesis, the process your body uses to create new muscle fibers. That's why many older adults struggle to gain muscle even when they exercise and eat right. It's not because their muscles aren't working. It's because inflammation is sending the wrong signals. Now, let's connect the dots between inflammation and diet, because what you eat can either feed the fire or cool it down. The most inflammatory foods in the modern diet are refined carbohydrates, seed oils, and processed foods. These create oxidative stress and spike insulin, which fuels inflammation at the cellular level. When your blood sugar constantly fluctuates, your body produces more free radicals, unstable molecules that damage your cells and mitochondria. Over time, this creates an environment where muscle growth is nearly impossible. The key is to remove these triggers and replace them with anti-inflammatory, nutrient-dense foods that actually promote repair. Healthy fats like olive oil, avocado, and wild-caught salmon contain omega-3 fatty acids that actively reduce inflammation. Omega-3s compete with omega-6s found in seed oils for the same enzyme pathways in your body. When you increase omega-3 intake, you essentially block those inflammatory signals. This helps lower levels of cytokines like TNF-alpha and CRP, both of which are markers of systemic inflammation. That's one reason people who eat more fish or take high-quality fish oil supplements often notice less joint pain, faster recovery, and improved muscle tone. The anti-inflammatory power of omega-3s is one of nature's most potent tools for muscle preservation after 60. Antioxidants play another crucial role here. Foods like blueberries, kale, turmeric, and green tea are loaded with compounds that neutralize free radicals. Turmeric, in particular, contains curcumin, a natural compound shown to reduce inflammation at the genetic level. It literally turns off the genes that trigger inflammatory responses. Imagine how powerful that is. Instead of masking inflammation like painkillers do, curcumin addresses it at the root. When your body isn't constantly fighting inflammation, it can finally redirect its energy toward healing, rebuilding, and strengthening your muscles. Now let's talk about insulin resistance, one of the hidden engines of inflammation. When you consume too many refined carbs or eat too frequently, your cells become resistant to insulin's signal. This means glucose can't enter your cells effectively, and your blood sugar stays elevated. High blood sugar leads to the formation of advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, sticky molecules that damage proteins, including muscle tissue. AGEs literally make your cells older by impairing their ability to regenerate. So, by improving insulin sensitivity through intermittent fasting and low-carb eating, you're not just balancing your blood sugar, you're also reducing inflammation and protecting your muscle integrity. Stress is another major contributor. When you're under chronic stress, your body releases cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol isn't bad in short bursts, but when it stays elevated, it breaks down muscle tissue for energy and increases inflammation throughout the body. That's why stress management is not just about mental health. It's about physical longevity. Simple practices like deep breathing, meditation, walking outdoors, or getting quality sleep can lower cortisol and significantly improve recovery. Sleep, in particular, is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory tools you have. During deep sleep, your body releases growth hormone, repairs tissue, and clears out inflammatory waste through the lymphatic system. Skimping on sleep is like skipping recovery day. Your muscles never get the chance to fully rebuild. Another fascinating aspect of inflammation is how it affects the gut. Your gut is the command center for your immune system. About 70% of immune cells reside there. When your gut lining becomes damaged, a condition known as leaky gut, undigested food particles, and toxins can enter your bloodstream, triggering widespread inflammation. This not only affects your digestion, but also your joints, brain, and muscles. Supporting gut health with probiotic-rich foods like kefir, sauerkraut, and kimchi can strengthen your immune balance and calm systemic inflammation. Fiber from vegetables also feeds beneficial bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, compounds that actively reduce inflammation throughout the body. Hydration also plays a bigger role than most people realize. When you're dehydrated, your blood becomes thicker, circulation slows down, and waste products from metabolism accumulate. This adds to inflammation and makes it harder for nutrients to reach your muscles. Drinking enough water. ideally with a pinch of sea salt or electrolytes, helps flush out toxins, reduce inflammation, and improve oxygen delivery to tissues. It's such a simple step, but it has a profound effect on muscle recovery and joint comfort. Let's also look at how exercise interacts with inflammation. The right kind of exercise reduces inflammation, while the wrong kind can make it worse. Excessive endurance training, for example, can create too much oxidative stress, leading to inflammation and muscle breakdown. On the other hand, moderate resistance training and walking improve circulation, stimulate anti-inflammatory cytokines, and strengthen your immune system. It's all about balance, challenging your body enough to grow but not so much that you overwhelm your recovery systems. Now, one of the most powerful, natural ways to control inflammation and boost muscle repair is fasting. During fasting, your body goes through a process called autophagy, a cellular cleanup mechanism where damaged cells and proteins are broken down and recycled. This not only removes the old, inflamed cells but also stimulates the production of new, healthy ones. Fasting gives your immune system a reset, reducing inflammation markers and improving overall tissue function. When you combine fasting with nutrient-dense meals, your body becomes more efficient at both removing damage and rebuilding strength. There's also a hormonal component to inflammation that becomes more important with age. As estrogen and testosterone decline, inflammation tends to increase because these hormones have protective, anti-inflammatory effects. Supporting hormonal balance through proper nutrition, sleep, and stress reduction helps maintain that equilibrium. Zinc, magnesium, and vitamin D are particularly important here. They support hormone production and regulate the immune system. That's why deficiencies in these nutrients often lead to both fatigue and inflammation. If you've ever noticed that you feel itchier or more tired after eating certain foods, that's your body's inflammation response speaking to you. It's not random, it's a signal. Processed foods, refined oils, and sugars are not just unhealthy. They're inflammatory triggers. When you remove them, within weeks you can feel the difference. Less stiffness, better digestion, more energy, and faster muscle recovery. That's your body telling you it's finally healing. So when it comes to building muscle after 60, controlling inflammation isn't just important, it's essential. It's the difference between spinning your wheels and making real progress. When you cool that internal fire, everything starts working better. Your energy, your metabolism, your sleep, your strength. And what's amazing is that you can do it without expensive supplements or complicated routines. It's about simplifying your diet, calming your stress, and feeding your body the way nature intended. When you reduce inflammation, you don't just extend your years, you expand your vitality within those years. You move better, recover faster, and live stronger. Because at the end of the day, the true secret to longevity and muscle health isn't in fighting age. It's in mastering inflammation.